Hello everyone. This video is for those 3 ERD questions in assignment 5. This time for each ERD question, you only need to upload a PNG. You don't need to insert data records. You don't need to forward engineer. And so that's the reason you don't need to provide the whole MWB file. You only need to upload a PNG for each question. So the first ERD question is this question 7. This is a dependency diagram. Indicates that authors are paid royalty for each book that they write for a publisher. The amount of the royalty can vary by author, by book, and by the edition of the book. So this question asks you to create a diagram, create an ERD whose tables are at least in second normal form, which means the diagram you create must not have any partial dependency. So this is figure question 6.7. So I have created a slide here. So here you actually can see several partial dependencies. The first one is part of the prime key, ISBN itself, can already determine the values of book title, publisher, and the edition. So as long as you know the data value of an ISBN, you will know the book title, the publisher, and edition. So this is the first set of partial dependency in this original diagram. And the second set of partial dependency is this one. Part of the prime key, author number itself, can already determines the value of author's last name in a database. As long as you know the value of the author number, you will know the author's last name. So only this royalty, the value of the royalty, must be determined by this composite prime key, ISBN, and author number. So eventually, in this first ERD, you should have 3 tables. So because this design will not have any partial dependency, right? Because the first 2 tables here, they only have a single attribute prime key. It does not make sense to have a partial dependency. If you remember the definition of the partial dependency. So part of the prime key itself can already determine values of certain non-prime attributes. And this last table, this third table, although it still has a composite prime key, but the value of the non-prime attributes should be determined by this combination, not part of it. So this is a diagram of the ERD for question 7. And the ERD here, the first table, let's see, the first table should be this this book table. The prime key should be the ISBN. Okay, so this table we can call it book, and the prime key is ISBN. So I think the current version of ISBN has 13 characters. So let's set the prime key as char 13. And since this is not an int, so you don't need to set it as UN on side. And the non-prime attributes include book title, publisher, and edition. You may notice there is still a transitive dependency here, but since this question 7 only asks us to create a ERD which does not have any partial dependency, so we can just keep this transitive dependency here. Okay, non-prime attributes, book title, and another non-prime attribute, publisher, and edition. Okay, this table is for the first diagram here, and the second table should be a author table. Prime key is author number, there is only one non-prime attribute here, right? Not authors, I think that's last name. This is for the second diagram here. And the last table should be the payment table according to the business rules. This table has a composite prime key, author number plus ISBN. Those two prime key attribute components later will also serve as foreign keys to maintain those two one-to-many relationships. So that's the reason the attribute name and the column flag and the data type you used must be consistent with what you used in the author table and the book table. So for example, this author number, the data type should also be a small int. And if you have set the author number here as onside in the author table, then you must also set it as onside here for the author number in the payment table. I have noticed this arrow still existing in your submission, in some of your submissions in assignment 4. I think you shouldn't have this arrow at this moment because we have kept on emphasizing this point. Okay, so next prime key component is ISBN, and it is char 13 here for the ISBN in the book table. So the data type here should also be char 13. So this is also a prime key attribute, but since this is a char data type, so you don't need to set it as onside. And the only non-prime attribute is the royalty. Say the data type is decimal 72, which means you can have 5 digits before the decimal point and 2 digits after the decimal point. Okay, then we have two relationships between between first relationship is between author and payment, and second is between book and payment. So one author can make many payments, and one payment is paid by one and only one author. So that's the reason why the author number in the payment table is a foreign key, because the payment table is on the many side. So to create this one-to-many relationship, we first click the author number in the payment table and then the author number in the author table. So I don't know why some of you still have another redundant like employee number in the dependent and the inspector tables in assignment 4. So I think at this moment, so this is very basic in this class. So you should know how to create a foreign key. So yeah, in this case, so you should first create this author number and then create this one-to-many relationship using the existing foreign key, which is also part of the primary key for this payment table. Okay, so say the relationship name is makes, author is makes payment. And so then one book can receive many payments, and one particular payment is associated with one and only one book. Then this ISBN in the payment table is also the foreign key for the one-to-many relationship between book and payment, because payment table is on the many side. Okay. Book has payment. So those two attributes, as you can see, they are both part of the primary key and also a foreign key to maintain those two one-to-many relationships respectively. So this is the first ERD, could say tables in second normal form, right? And please only upload the PNG, which means you should export this ERD as a PNG. Let's say question 7. Okay, so that's all for the first ERD. And the second ERD is based on this one. You actually only need to modify this one a little bit to make the second one. The second ERD here asks you to create a diagram whose tables are at least in third normal form, which means you should also get rid of the transitive dependency. And there is just one transitive dependency existing between book title and publisher. So as long as you know the value of the book title, you will know the publisher. So those two are both non-prime attributes. So this is a transitive dependency. What we should do is we should take those attributes off from this book table to make another new table, could call it book publisher. So then the book title here becomes a primary key and publisher is a non-prime attribute. So now there is no transitive dependency because book title becomes a primary key attribute. To make the second ERD, you only need to modify this book table a little bit. First is to delete this publisher attribute from the book table and then create a new table called book publisher. Primary key is the book title, and later the book title in the book table will serve as a foreign key. So those two attributes should have the same attribute name, data type, and column flag. And the non-prime attribute here is the publisher. Okay, so one book publisher can publish many books. So the book table is on the many side, book publisher is on the one side. So this book title in the book table is a foreign key. So we first click this foreign key and then click the primary key. So this is another relationship. You can say publish. So as you can see, this is a non-identifying regular relationship because those two tables, they have their own unique primary key attributes. Those two primary key attributes are independent from each other, while those two are actually strong relationships because primary key of this part payment table is from its parent tables, the author table and the book table. So this is ERD for the second question. Just need to change the description a little bit. So this one is tables, insert normal form, and then still export it as a PNG. It's question 8. Okay, so this is the second ERD. The third one, last one, is based on a new dependency diagram. So this one, so yeah, it asks you to create a diagram whose tables are in at least second normal form. Since this one does not have any transitive dependencies, so third normal form actually is equivalent of second normal form. So the first set of partial dependency exists between medicine name and shelf life. So as long as you know the value of the name of a certain medicine, you know its shelf life. And the second set of partial dependency exists between patient ID and patient name. So as long as you know the patient ID, you should know his or her name. So that's the reason we split this diagram into 3. The first 2 diagrams, they only have a single attribute primary key, so they cannot have partial dependency anymore. And the last diagram here, although it still has a 3 attribute composite primary key, medicine name plus patient ID plus date, but the refills allowed and dosage, those 2 non-prime attributes, their value must dependent on the combination of this composite tables. That's the reason there is no partial dependency. which also means your ERD should have 3 tables eventually. So the first table is medicine table. Primary key is a medicine name. And the non-prime attribute is shelf life. The second table is a patient table. Primary key attribute is patient ID. And the non-prime attribute is patient's name. Last table is a prescription table. Later, there will also be two one-to-many relationships. Okay, this prescription table has 3 attributes as its primary key. The first is medicine name. This attribute later will also serve as a foreign key to maintain the one-to-many relationship between medicine and prescription. That's the reason you should use the same data type and column flag as what you used for the medicine name in the medicine table. And the second primary key attribute is patient ID. Again, later it will also be a foreign key. And the last primary key attribute here is the prescription date. This attribute will only serve as part of the primary key here. And two non-prime attributes are, first is refills allowed. You could also use like a Boolean data type, then the value could be true or false. And dosage. Okay, then we should again create two one-to-many relationships. So one patient could receive many prescriptions, right? So one particular prescription is issued to one and only one patient. So patient is on the one side, prescription is on the many side. So we first click the patient ID here, which is also a foreign key, and the patient ID in the patient table. It's a one-to-many relationship. And similarly, when medicine can appear in many prescriptions. So in this case, medicine name is the foreign key. Medicine name in the prescription table is a foreign key. So we first click the medicine name in prescription table. and then the medicine name in the medicine table. This is also a one-to-many relationship. As you can see, those two attributes are both part of the perma key and also foreign key. And this prescription date is only part of the perma key. So the icons in front of them are in different colors. Okay, so this ERD represents tables in second normal form and also third normal form, because there is no transitive dependencies in this diagram. So please also export this ERD as a PNG file. You can save it as question 9. So now you can see this is for question 7, tables in second normal form. This is for question 8. The difference is this book publisher table. But you should also first delete this publisher in the book table based on the result of question 7. And okay, this is question 9. This is a new question here. So those are all PNG files you should upload for question 7 to question 9. Okay, so that's all for this video.